Whoopsie, accidentally ended my own stream. That's what happens when you're in a rush and you're trying to click buttons. Anyway, got some tools ready. Let's work on some stuff. Alright, let's swap tools here. All I really need is a couple of millimeters off the bottom here. We're going to make that happen. We're going to use the small sanding disc, and we're just going to try it out. Mr. Alan Fulmer. Good to see you, sir. Just about to make this 2.5 millimeters larger. I think interestingly enough, I didn't even really touch it there, but it seems to be getting really thin in the center. It's really hard to keep it even. All right, let's see what that does. All right. We'll try it with the non-flexible one. This one's really the one that tells you, because the screen's not flexible. It almost, it's half a millimeter, and it's specifically right here at the bottom. Let's see if we can't get it. Once we have a good proven method, we can supposed to do a good job at rounding out the corners here. Just got to be careful because it looks like this can tear up these edges. I'll have to go in with a file to really clean it up, especially on the transparent one. Let's see if this fits now. Yes, okay, that is a fit. Now, dry fit works. I've already learned that dry fit might work, however, does it fit with a screen in it? And that's why I have one sitting here with a single screw in it, ready to accept. Oh, another modification. There's a power input on the back here, just a little tiny power input. And this power input interferes with this. So on every one, I have to go in and remove said power inputs. It's really easy because it's a surface mount kind of part. You just kind of twist it and pull it off. And now it's gone, it's clean, there's nothing there. Maybe the legs that it had. It's a very effective method. Alright, so back to this. USB-C down, screen protector up. Looks like I'll have to back out the screw here. And this is just for dry fitting, and you have to be careful. I have cracked a screen doing this. It is certainly, I should be using my demo screen for, you know, I say that, and as I say that, I'm going, where's my demo screen? I'm not using my demo screen. I should be using the one that I already cracked for that. Now, where's the one I already cracked? You would think I would learn from my mistakes. Now, let me see if I can find it. I have a box. It says Wave Share. I've been organizing all my parts. Still a lot to organize. A lot to organize. But, hey. a lifetime's worth of accumulation of things. If I was a waveshare box with screens and ESP32s in it, where would I be? Probably on the shelf that has such things. Okay. Now the other problem is I haven't got around to labeling the boxes yet. So, yeah, that's a problem. I'll get there. But I found it. Alright. See if you know kind of what you're looking for. The waveshare box. Then you'll find completely what you're looking for. Look, there's another one. Now, as far as screens go, is this my cracked one in here? Yes, this is the cracked one. That's the one I should be using. And then I have my touchscreen version in here. Did I order 2 touchscreen versions? Yeah, I think I did, because I think there's 2 of them in here. Huh. Well, I don't have any use for the touchscreen versions because those are even bigger and thicker than the ones that I've got on there now, and it just kind of a nightmare. So, yeah. At least we got some jazzy tunes. And then I've got a full board that's still in the package, non-touchscreen. Yeah, full board in the package, non-touchscreen. Brand new waveshare, not even a knockoff. Make sure to enter the giveaway. Enter to win the N64 that we're building. It's one of 2 that we're going to give away. All right. Boy, that's a really nice parts box I've got going on here. I've got to remember this parts box has my retro computer stuff in it as well. Okay, cool. Glad I found it relatively quickly. So now I've got this one, which is broken. I've got a mark here. I'm going to mark it the best I can here. C-R-A-C-K-E-D. Cracked. Now I should be able to power this up. I'm stealing my USB power from my camera here. Should be able to power this up. It's still visible even though it's cracked. It still runs. Yeah, see, it's still functional. But yeah, this one I cracked putting it in and test fitting it. So I don't recommend that. Alright, so back to test fitting this one. I'm specifically using the one that's more rigid because it's harder to test fit. And I'm using my screen that I've already cracked, test fitting in a previous one. It's a, it's a $20 mistake. I knew I would end up cracking one of them. That's why I bought, I think, 3 or 4. Because that's what happens. You end up cracking one. Alright, so one of them is screwed in. Let's see if this transition works. Oh, somehow the transition's not quite working, but here we go. As far as this is how it's mounted, you can see the 3D print, and then this you have to make a spot to you only need positive and negative, so but the wires come out there for the positive and negative. So let's see if we can test fit that into this old case here. And again, you got to be careful. It's, it's a screen. Okay. So that's as good as it's going to get right there. And there's a little tiny, couple millimeter at the top and bottom, because what I'm accommodating for is these corners. Hey, DJ Juan Rios. Good to see you, sir. Welcome in. N64 I'll show you a little behind the scenes here, and some people are going to say you got a problem, and probably I have a problem, but the ones we're working on, here's one, here's two, and I may have, if you look and see, yeah, if we look over here, there's 2 customs on the top shelf there. There's a purple one and a green one, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4 more right there. So there's your behind the scenes look for the day. I'm trying to get these things back running, back working, back, making people happy. So someone really loved this one. They loved to burn holes in it. So that's why I'm using this one for test fitting. But I think that looks pretty darn, that's pretty darn close to as factory legit as you're gonna get as far as a custom fit. And then I can fill in the rest with epoxy putty, paint it and sand it if I really want to. It's really, really difficult to sand next to a screen, but if I mask it off, I can. Or if I, there's a couple ways to try to approach it, but it's a really good fit. I think that's as good as we're gonna get. All right, so I'm happy with that. No more burned. Let's get into making these guys pretty, and how these are going to be just gorgeous. Check this out. Oh, looky there. Isn't that pretty? This is the first Okay, now I'm legit smiling. Like, I am legit smiling. This makes me happy. This looks like it's a new thing. It's new. It's taking this old one and really turning it up to 11. Okay, so before we can do that, we went with blue. Let's change out the LED, and let's do both of them at the same time. It only makes sense to do both at the same time. So let's get both of them over here. And we're gonna really start customizing these N64s. Let me move some tools here off the bench. Cleanliness is next to godliness. Let's do a little quick cleanup and get all these little parts out of the way. Now I'm going to come back to these sanding tools, so I'm going to keep them handy. But let's move a lot of this other stuff and then clean up this little plastic shrapnel. Plastic shrapnel we got going on here. When you're cleaning these silicone mats, it doesn't matter what you've got on it. Grab a paper towel, throw some isopropyl alcohol on here. Make sure your soldering iron's not on. Throw some isopropyl alcohol on there. Wipe it down. It is the best cleaner, and it gets all those little pieces of stuff. All right. That is until it starts drying up. And then you're left with brushing them around again. All right. Trash. Excellent. Much better. Clean. All right. So let's customize these. Let's get some. I think one should have a blue LED and one should have a white LED. I think I have white LEDs. I'm quite sure I have white LEDs. Let me grab. Here's a sentence you don't hear too often. Let me grab my box of LEDs. I legit have a box of LEDs. Two of them, actually. Okay. I've got a box of cap kits. I've got a box of controller rebuild kits. I've got a box of batteries of all sorts of different weird, esoteric, the ones that go inside the cartridges, the ones that go inside your computer, stuff like that. I should be showing like a tour of this. Here's my box of wire. Different types of wire. Where's my box of LEDs? I know it exists. Am I gaslighting myself? I don't have a box of LEDs? That would be funny. But I've been collecting them for a long time, so I'm pretty sure I have a box of LEDs around here somewhere. This week I'm going to be labeling all the boxes so I don't have to just look around blindly for boxes. That is definitely one of the plans. What did I do with my box I mean, this box is stuffed full of LEDs. You can't mistake it for any other box. It's just full of LEDs. All sorts of different shapes and sizes and colors. Did I move it? Did I use it and then move it? That's something I might have done. I mean, enthralling YouTube-vision. Watch a blank screen while Rob looks for a box of LEDs that he swears that he has, but nobody's seen yet. Moo hoo 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 ha 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 ha. Okay. So we'll move the chair. Hi. Come over here. What I'm guessing is I probably moved it and it is inside something else. I just can't see it because it's inside another box. Alright, that is not it. That one is not it. That one is not it. I'm just gonna like look at them all until we find the one that it is. That's the color rebuild. There we go. My goodness. Okay, box of LEDs. And just so nobody thinks I'm totally crazy, when I say I've got a box of LEDs, I mean I literally have a box of LEDs. All sorts of panels and these are tiny little LEDs. There's like 25 of them in there. What we're looking for is 5mm LEDs. There's the white ones. And I'm looking for blue ones and white ones. Now I have rainbow, slow flash rainbow ones and fast flash rainbow ones, but I think that's too flashy for what we're doing. We're doing classy. We're doing, yeah. I'm confident with that answer. So we need 5mm blue, and we want like an ice blue, because there's more than one color blue. And I bet I even have the color LEDs, like these, because the original ones are crystal clear, but they're red. So I'm trying to match that vibe. There's the blue, there's the green. Where's my blue? There's orange. Hey, blue. Cool. Oh, straw hats. I've got all sorts of LEDs. I've even got the LEDs to use to make Kit from Knight Rider. If you want to make a Kit voice box, this is what you use. And this isn't just a new produced one. This is new old stock. This is the right color, the right everything. Alright, and then yeah, I've got the 5mm straw hats. got a couple of LEDs, you know, just a couple. No, I mean, yeah, just a couple. Let's see. There we go. Had to ban that bot. So yeah, anyway, got what we needed. 5mm white and a blue. Alright. There's the blue. Now here's the question: do we put the white one in the blue and the blue in the white? You know, which way do we do it? I guess we can make that decision all the way up to like the last, until I close them up, kind of. But all right, there's our LEDs. Let's put the box of LEDs back. And Coca-Cola. If you ever want to sponsor Coke Zero, I like Coke Zero. I like it a lot. So we have two boards. We need to change out I never remember which way these go. I gotta figure out which way is positive and which way is negative. So let's take a 3-volt battery, which I have plenty of just hanging around here. I harvest batteries from vapes. I think the long, there's two legs, I think the long leg is negative on most. Okay, so I'm wrong. Long leg is positive. And here's the proof. Just literally touch it to the battery. Long leg, positive. It lights up. Simple as that. So you can actually see on the bottom here, this side goes to the ground plane of the board. So that's negative, and the other one goes to positive. So long side's positive, long side goes to the right when the board's upside down. Okay, so N64 Bluetooth adapters. I actually have right here. That's something I'm going to get into. One of the problems is with the N64 and Bluetooth adapters is that you don't get any of the save, because the saves are all done with the saves are all done with this controller port, and you don't get the rumble. Now certain ones can pass the rumble through, but so these are the ones that I bought from AliExpress. These are the ones you're most commonly going to find for 20 bucks. Blue Retro is the brand name on them. And, you know, they plug in, they go, you know, they plug in. And I was even thinking about popping them out of their case because it's just a plastic case. And I could kind of pop it out of the case and I could wire up all 3 wires. And, you know, I just don't, there's nothing like the experience of the actual one. However, I did see an 8-bit do branded one, and that one is a controller modification plus, and I think they're passing the rumble pack through. I don't know if they're passing the saves through. That's the biggest thing, is the saves. So yeah, it's there's some limitations, but I'm gonna dive into that a little bit more because I really wanted to make wireless controllers a thing. I've got plenty of controllers. In fact, I've got 2 of them sitting here on the bench. One's specifically for this. It has enough buttons to do N64. And then I brought out a really, really old one that I have. And this one is so old that I ended up charging it, and then it worked for about 5 minutes and quit. I said, well, what the heck's going on? Battery, they go bad, but you can buy those, you know, like 15 bucks for a pack of 5. And yeah, I'll just buy that, replace it, and then I've got a new controller. I got these years and years and years ago. This is one of the first ones 8-bit do did. 8-bit do did, ha 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 ha. And then this is a more modern SN30. They still make this one, I'm pretty sure. These are really old, but a lot more modern. All right, now let's see about swapping. Okay, get the desoldering gun out. There's our desoldering iron. Oh. And while that's warming up, I put up the thing because I intend to have a smoke. I don't want any flack from Twitch for doing it. So you have to put up a little banner, you know, this may contain drugs and alcohol and all that kind of stuff. You know, it usually helps to turn it on. Yeah, now it's warming up. There we go, red light's on. These are kind of expensive, worth every single penny they cost. You know, it's one of those indispensable tools, and you'll spend money on. These tips are between $12 and $18 a piece. You'll spend money on filters, and the maintenance, and if you take care of this tool, it is worth every single penny. It makes desoldering just an absolute breeze. We're going to take out these 2 points on each one. We're going to take out all 4. Oh, I can't see anything with my glasses on. And this literally falls out. Oh, this one's still stuck just the tiniest bit. Really? The one it's stuck on. A little bit of solder at the end there. That's what it was. Okay. So there we go. Those are empty. Turn the soldering iron off. Clean tip in the brass wool. Make sure it doesn't touch anything. That's the hard part, making sure it doesn't touch anything. Alright, yeah, those holes cleaned out nicely. Now we can just put in our new. Let's turn on our soldering iron. Grab our solder. Okay, so the long one is the positive. So the long one is going to go to the right. And I'm going to leave a little bit exposed because I need to bend it down. So I'm going to put them in like halfway, like that. Ooh, that's right, I put a new tip on here. I had forgotten all about that. Let's get some solder on there on that new tip, and then wipe it off. I'm all excited now. I put a new tip on there. All right. Perfect. And then same thing on this side. The long one goes to the right when you're looking at the board from the underside. You only need to put it in just a wee bit here. Flip it over, solder it into place. Nice, nice, nice. Add some solder to this one. Very nice. Go back and yeah. Okay, and my flush cuts are right here off camera. And you just cut these legs that are left. You cut them flush. That's why they call them flush cuts. And the original one sticks right over the edge of the board like that. Same thing here. Sticks right over the edge of the board like that. Flush cut. Alright, so now there's the two originals, and if we want to check these out, let's make sure they still work. Obviously, that's important. Sí, es muy importante. So we got the power supply. Plug the power supply in. Hey, it lights up blue. Okay, that's all we really want to do is just make sure it lights up. Turn it right back off. Plug it in, turn it on. Hey, there we go, white. And that is our first true piece of custom work on our N64s. I'm really feeling good about this, you know? Some days you just feel down about things and you don't feel great about getting things done, and other days it's like you can't wait to get things done. Today is one of those days where it's like hard to wait and I just want to get things done. It's a good feeling. All right. Oh, let's take a look. There we go. Put my glasses back on here. All right. So now I guess we got the colors. The next one is theme. Kind of got to get the theme down. Well, I do have some blue flame LEDs. It'll add a little bit of motion to it, but I don't want to add too much motion. I wonder. Okay, well, I think we got at least the screen part worked out. Excellent. I know where we're going with that. I know where we're going with the boards themselves. We've got those worked out, which is most excellent. Both boards are ready to go. They play games. We can do the RGB mod on this one. That's what I actually started to do the day I wasn't feeling good. Ended up doing this, cutting the stream short. We could do the RGB mod on this one quite easily. In fact, I think I've got the chip for it out already somewhere. Okay. So in order to do the RGB mod, I'm going to need to look up some instructions. So all the music in the background is music that is all based on chip tunes. It's all based on an algorithm that I've made. So it's got to be like chip tune based and stuff like that. But I own the rights to all these. All right. I was trying to look through my histories for the N64 RGB mod. There we go. Retro RGB. So if I add a browser source here, come over here, and I'll do it. Window capture. Yeah, so if we look at this, this is the modification we're doing. I had found a really good the way that Voltar does it is the best way. I'm going to follow his directions. So let's look for his directions. Oh wow. Hope nothing happened to that guy. I know he had heart problems. Okay, it was just misspelled. Complete in-depth installation guide on the wiki. Okay. Okay, I'm starting to remember this. It's not too hard. You do 8, 9, 10, these 3 vias. There's a couple of resistors you have to remove. And it's not too hard. This is considered the quote-unquote easy modification. Now, anybody that tells you soldering of any sort is, oh, it's just easy. No, it's not easy. There's a lot of skill involved in this. All right, we open the package. We can't take it back now. Not that we would. Now I would swear there are some resistors I have to remove off this. I solder this part in place, I know that much, but I know there's some resistors I gotta take off first. Which ones are they? Ooh, does that mean we get to like break out our microscope and like do a little bit of searching? We can do that. We can break out the microscope. I can add okay. So that's the microscope cam. That's crazy. I like it. Alright, now let's go back to the... This one says... and his isn't any different than any other one. 4 wires. 3 vias, okay, I know that. Alternate solder point. Okay, so if you've got Q1, R16, R15, Q1, let's see if I can get in the neighborhood here. Q1, R15, R16 is what I'm looking for. Okay, so there they are. Exactly upside down. How's that? Q1, R15, R16. I had him. I lost him. There it is. Q1, R15, R16. R15, R16, and Q1. Those pieces right there. So if you've got those, it drives the C-Sync. You don't have to connect the C-Sync cable. The C-Sync. Unnecessary to solder. Components are missing. Should be taken, okay. Components are missing. Conductor. To the via under R16. Okay. Interesting. He doesn't say anything about removing, and I could swear This one has you removing oh, wait a minute. Are they removing the ones, those exact same ones that are driving the C-Sync? Yes. Yes, they are. Okay, R1, C22. Boards that support C-Sync. Okay. See, it's important to read this stuff. This is really in-depth with different versions of the board. Yeah. Alternatively, you can remove them. If your RGB board deals with the sync, you can enable it. Make sure there isn't a trailing to pin 3. There is. Okay. I understand. So that via is it. Okay, so let's do this. We'll unhide the microscope because we're going to use it. Let's see if we can get it onto this area right here. There we go. That's where we're going to be working. The cool thing is that I can actually blow that up and put it on my second monitor, and I could solder like that. I generally don't need to, but it's, you know, it's there if I needed it. First thing I'm going to do is we are going to add some solder and some flux, just some no clean to the area. Hey, look, some flux. And we're going to add some of this nice, fresh solder to each one of these pins. And we're not going to bridge them. I said no bridging. This isn't Bridgerton. It's okay, we'll go back and clean it up. I'm going to do the technique called drag soldering. I'm going to clean that up with that drag solder technique. Should be able to kind of walk it out of there. There we go. And what this does is it refreshes the solder. It gets everything really nice so it will stick in there. Because what we're doing is we're kind of hijacking the signals here. And that's what this chip does, is it basically hijacks those signals from this board. It's a tight fit, Jim. There we go. That's what we're working with. That's really not much to work with. Like, really not much to work with. You're going to need to pull some of that solder out of there. Clean the tip real good here. Just come through and do the drag solder thing, but get them all nice and warmed up. Pull some of that solder out, because what happened is it made them too fat. And then I can't get them in there. That was unfortunate. Go. Now let's see if these will go on here. I'm sure that this chip has a really bad tolerance. Yeah, the chip is really bad to begin with. Some Chinese mod chip. Pretty sure these are just AliExpress mod chips. Oh, you know, I almost forgot a really, really important step. So there's some words on the back of this. And the words say, isolate this side, N64 RGB amp 1.2, 40, 43, 49, 38. 40 is awesome. 40 developed a lot of this. Okay, so isolate this side means we have to dig into this awesome tape. Find my scissors. Hey, look, a pair of scissors. And we have to make an isolator. Hi, I'm an isolator. I'm here to isolate. You want this side isolated. I got your isolation right here. Isolate. Alright. And it's literally putting this little piece of tape is what they want you to do. That's a very important step, and I can't believe I almost missed that step. Okay, so the other thing I should do to prep this before I stick it on here is get my 3 wires, and they don't have to be long. Basically, they come down here and then they flip and become RGB, and in that website that I'm looking at, it shows which one's R, which one's G, which one's B. So let's look at the website. Yeah, there we go. So it's BGR. 10 is blue. So I need wire that can go into Here we go, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. Into those little tiny vias, 8, 9, and 10. That's where I need to end up getting them. So what kind of wire do I have that can fit? Remember I said I had a whole box of nothing but wire. There's a reason for that. Wire comes in so many different shapes and sizes and configurations. But I have this stuff I call rainbow wire. And the rainbow wire is really good for this application. I have a lot of it. I have a lot of it. Anyway, it's really good for this application. And you always say you have a lot of something until you don't have enough. So here's rainbow wire. And you'll notice they're all stuck together. The best thing is that I've already used one side of this, so I've got a piece that's probably just real close to the right length that I need to use here. So let me move this microscope view. It's a little big, I think. Yeah, there we go. I think the microscope view maybe. I'll just go like this and go copy. We'll go to this one. Paste. This is how you do on the fly. On the fly, on the fly. Back here. This is a jazzy little beat. I mean, now, come on. Now, if I do it right, I should be able to do this and then still have room for the microscope. There it is. This is on the fly, on the fly. That's a master class on how you get 3 cameras plus a web browser into a single scene on the fly. Because this is kind of the information, I'm trying to give an accurate picture of what goes on. You're trying to do one of these consoles, you're trying to mod these things, and you have to keep going from there's all sorts of different disciplines here. We're going from soldering, and if you don't know the modification like the back of your hand, which I don't, even though it's only 3 wires plus another solder pad, you got to research it, you got to do it right. All right. But when you're researching it and trying to do it right, you've got to have the right amount of information. And that's kind of what I'm illustrating here, is the information portion of it. This is all the information you have to have in order to build these, in order to make these. All right, so let's find out. We'll measure it down like this, and then it comes over to boom, 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 boom. Okay, so I'll give it some extra and then cut it down. And the idea is I need 3 wires. I need red, green, blue. So I'll end up with yellow, green, blue for my wires. And I'll line up my green and blue. So I need my green and blue to be 8 is blue, no, 10 is blue. So I need, okay. Laying this out. Make the flip down here. This is the method I've seen before. Problem is, I did it the bend too soon, or not soon enough. I was making an L like this. So you solder this in place. You do this, you make your L. It still doesn't give me my makes them upside down to where they are on the mess. Okay, I'll worry about that in a second. Let's solder this on there. Most important thing is push it on there, get your flux going. No, that one doesn't have a pad, so it doesn't get soldered. Okay. Only the ones with the pads need the solder. So it's really, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 solder points? Yeah, that's it. 7 solder points. Okay, all 7 of them. Double soldered. And then under magnification, let's see if it looks halfway decent, huh? I can find it. There we go. I can't see that well enough. I would say those look great. Alright, now okay, now let's, where, I bet I put my wire strippers away because I clean up after myself. Oh goodness. And you gotta go and find your wire strippers because you cleaned up everything. It's okay. I do love my wire strippers though. These are really, really nice. I'm really lucky to have quite a few nice tools. These are the ones you just put the wires in and it strips off all 3 ends for me on wires this small. And what I'm going to do is tin all 3 ends there. Oh, excuse me. Little tiny bit of flux. A little tiny bit of solder. And you're basically brushing these almost. And these two, they're touching together and you gotta separate them. Well, I know which side that one's going on. This is called tinning. Tinning your wires. And you can separate them first. Sometimes that's a good idea. Separate them first. Give them just a little bit of space from each other. You don't have to do this with solid wire, but on stranded wire, obviously you do. problem is that it does that. It frays out. And then you've got to take each one and twist them together. Do a little bundle. And they have to be super precise and neat because these are made for little tiny things. And this is gonna be, this is gonna go in these little vias here. Alright. Alright, so 3 of these get connected RGB, and then the other 3 go into the vias. So I want to clip these a little bit. They're a little too long. And I know, it's like, how am I saying that those are too long? Trust me, they're too long. This is literally as long as they need to be, especially for those vias. Separate this side. Okay, got one. Got 2, got 3. Okay, so blue is a 10. So we've got these 3 little tiny vias. 10, 9, 8. So they are 10, 9, 8. We got to get those. Okay. 10, 9, 8. Flux. Tiny little point. And we got to hit 10 is blue. 9 is green. This has to be a solid connection because this is carrying your video signal. It's got to be solid. There, this, where these little angled tweezers come in handy. Now I can come in here with the angled tweezers and we can place nine and 8. Let's give it a little okay, I've got it into the via, or at least close to it. You know, I had it close to the via. It moved. There we go. Let's see if I can keep it there. Oh, you stink. You stink out loud. Kind of making it a little bit harder on myself than it has to be. I want these to be like super perfect. I can do this. There we go, there we go. That's where it needs to be. Excellent. Now, last one. Yellow, aka red. Alright, got that one in the hole here. Hit it with a little flux. Grab a little solder. Okay, RGB. Now we have to connect it up here. it really only needs to be like half the length I thought, which is good because that means that's another one for another time. All right, let's trim off the ends here so we can tin these new ends. It's easiest if you get them while they're fresh like this and you don't mess with them a little bit. You can get them just like this and just get enough in there. Yeah. Got them. All right. Oh, you got that same wire stripper? Yeah, these are probably the nicest ones you can buy. I'm really thankful to have a couple of really nice tools like this. Desoldering pump is really, you know, it's a couple $100, and it's nice. There's nothing that compares to it. I usually use the Hako brand flush cuts and Irwin brand strippers, things like that. Alright, so we're down here to the RGB pads. There we go, RGB pads. Alright, RGB. Here we go. You know, I'm going to add some fresh solder to those pads. There we go. Alright, I like that. That's a lot better. Kind of a glob on that R1. Pull a little bit off there. Alright, R, G, and B. That almost worked. Didn't have enough solder. Should have separated these first. Seeing the area of my legs doesn't mean I'm going to change. And then the last one, we're going to move this into place for the R in RGB. Stands for Robert. All right. Let's see what the microscope says. Microscope says those three look good. And those three look good to me. Okay. So the reason it reminds you of the Amiga mods is because some of these were created specifically to sound like C64s or Amigas. I took some laser samples and some actual lasers, cleaning lasers, and then took some chiptune stuff and yeah. Alright, so now we've got our RGB. We just have to take this cable and tape it down so it doesn't move. And technically, before we do anything else, this is a full RGB mod. We should be able to test this. And I happen to have all the stuff set up for that test. I just have to ditch the camera view here. We can ditch the window capture here. I can move some things around, and I apologize that I'm doing it all live, but hey, live is live. You know, let's do when you get the inspiration to do something, you know, you just sometimes got to do it. Alright, I know I've got the HDMI source in here somewhere. HDMI input and source. Whoa, that's big. Okay. Alright. Now, technically, yeah, let's put the microscope away. I can turn the soldering iron off just for a moment. Let's clean up our tools. I'll deal with all the bits in a bit. Ha 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 ha. Clean this up. You gotta clean a little bit as you go. I've got metal shavings and metal pieces over here, so I can't put the board over there, but this area looks fine. All good for that. Let's put the cartridge reader back in here. Okay, cartridge reader is back in there. So let's grab turn on the HDMI input. Let's grab the cable. Thank you, Mr. Fulmer. Alright. Grab the controller, do some controller things here. This one's got the save pack in. No rumble pack for the moment. Although I do have a couple of really good working rumble packs. Alright, so first thing is, does this turn on and does it give us a picture? I guess it helps if you plug in HDMI converter. Alright, HDMI converter now powered. Do we get a signal? Do we get a something? We get a big fat nothing. Interesting, interesting. Let me try something. There we go. Turn that. See if we get anything. Big fat nothing. Okay, so then that's the case. We change tactic and we oh yeah, okay, so we plug it in, and then after we plug it in, it might work. So it's things like that to keep you humble. Still figure we're gonna get a big fat nothing, but it was worth a try. All right, so we're getting a big fat absolute nothing. Let me try ooh, this is jazzy. First thing is let's try a known good game. I'm using a multi-cart. Who knows with the multi-carts? All right. Go. Plugged in. I know exactly what the problem is. Nintendo 64s don't work if you don't have the jumper pack installed. Jumper pack. Hey! Now, I bet, be willing to bet, that if you put it all together, did I get anything? Do we get anything? Nothing. 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 Okay, let's change the switch. Nothing. Okay, well, seems like it's not working. And that's okay, because you know what? Not everything works on the first try. That's fine. I know I certainly don't get things right on the first try. That took like 6 tries. That whole little fiasco I kept trying. I got so excited I wanted to try it. And kept trying to skip steps. So let's take a look. RGB looks to be in place. I think I see the problem already. 2 of the wires are kind of squished together. I think that's really, truly all it is. There's two wires are just squished together. Looks like, yeah, not only were they squished together, there's a little bit of, like, there's a couple wires hanging out. They're not bunched up with their buddies. They're just hanging out, man. And we can't have that. We can't have these guys just hanging out. They need to be contained. This song right here. This is like I really like this song. Okay, I think that should do it. Okay, double check in the other connections here. R, G, and B. They are what they are. R, G, and B. Guess I can go over the ones that connect to the multi-out again, but I'm pretty sure those are good. I don't think there's any pads I have to jumper. Let's try it. Cartridge, jumper pack. I won't even bother putting a controller in, I just want to see if this works. Okay. What do we got? Big fat nothing, huh? Interesting. Well, let's flip the switch. Okay, so there's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to connect this thing as a Wi-Fi control to this converter. So I'm going into that now. Okay, connect. This is called a GBS-C. GBS control. GBS control, obtaining the IP address. So sometimes you have to get into the GBS control. Oh, is it just not working right? Yeah, it's just sitting there obtaining an IP address. That's so weird. Okay, come on. GBS control, okay. And then you go to like What is this? It was right there, GBS control. Alright. Did it connect? No, it didn't. Finally now. GBS control, obtaining IP address. Certainly didn't have this problem last time. Okay, connected. There. Stay on Wi-Fi. Alright, so the problem I had last time was that I had to tell it what kind of signal it was getting. And that kind of worked. Doesn't seem to be working. Yeah, don't seem to be getting anything. Well, that's disappointing. We'll have to try a different method. Okay. I don't understand. That should totally have worked. Oh, you know, I broke something. I wouldn't say broke, but I dislodged something on the board just now. There we go, that's fixed. I'd run these capacitors over to the side because there was actually some damage there. And I needed to fix that, or needed to run them over because there is some damage right there on the board from leaky capacitors. I didn't figure out it was a leaky capacitor issue until later on, after I'd already fixed it, but that is the case. All right. I'm really surprised that I wasn't able to get that going there. What in the heck is going on with this? Alright. Because it's hanging off the board slightly, I keep touching it. So what I need to do is I need to grab something called the RAD 2X, which I thought I had right here. And I might actually have right here. There we go, RAD 2X. And the reason I'm grabbing the RAD 2X is because the GBS-C is, you know, it's a thing. But the RAD 2X is an important thing. Let me do BRB. All right, all right. So the red 2X I hooked up and plugged that in to see if we can see anything at all. So that should be what we're testing now. We're getting nothing with the rad 2X. That's not good. All we did was add this. Nothing with the rad 2X. Something blipped on the screen, he says. Some text. Okay. Interesting. Let me swap something here. No controller detected. Hey, that's a working thing. Now, if it's all correct and colors are right, whatever, I don't know. That looks right. Yeah, that looks like a working thing to me. Now, let's see if we can get it to work. Okay. So now let's see if we can get it to work with the other device, which is I don't know which one's more expensive. I think they're both expensive. The Rad 2X is like 80 bucks. The GBS-C is like 80 bucks plus a cable. So okay. That one. Then we swap this from this to this. Okay. I see nothing. Nothing. Nothing with this setup. That makes no sense. Let me... You know, is this thing outputting? Interesting. I'm not getting, I should be getting an on-screen menu with this setup. I'm using this. It's just off screen. GBS-C. And it's not working. Really interesting. This one isn't working at all. You know, it usually lights up when, and it's got a proper signal. It actually like lights up. Interesting that this one doesn't work. I might have to pass the sync line through. I think that's the C-sync line. I really do. So let's pass it through. Let's see if that's the difference. Okay. I didn't know. So, C-Sync comes from the R16 via and goes to the CS line. I'm just going to grab one single wire and we're going to try it out. Where's one of those wires that I just used? There we go. Let me use the yellow one. Grab our strippers. It's the only time I get to say stripper. Okay, here we go, here we go. A little bit of solder. Chin that guy. Density? I mean, destiny? Yeah. Sorry, that's a Back to the Future joke. Pretty sure it was R16 here. I'm just gonna freehand solder this. R16. I'll clip this little wire off. Just quickly solder that onto CS here. Alan got it. Alright, so I'm pretty sure it's just 16 to yeah, it's 16 over to CS. So now we got that connected. Let's see if that works. Put our tools back away. Put our wire piece over here. Jumper pack. Power. Because this is the setup I intend to give away, honestly, is this one with the GBS-C. Okay. And this one wants a controller. I hate testing things when there's so many variables and unknowns. Ah, I got an LED that time. Yes! Yeah! Okay. C-Sync for the win. Alright, so we now have a fully functional, rebuilt from the ground up, fully recapped Nintendo 64 with an RGB modification. It looks as good as an N64 can possibly look. Don't want to run it too long, don't have the heat sinks on there. But even with the capacitor damage, this thing is back to life. Oh, this song too. This is a riff on Fazandu for the NES. I am feeling so good about this. I am so happy. This is like, you know, and if I wasn't doing a custom, this is like ready to throw back together and put in a case and it's ready to go. But since we're doing total custom work here, let's tape down these wires, make it look all pretty. Boom. And then I like to also tape over my solder joints. Alright. Yes, I use a lot of tape. No, I don't care. I do. I use a lot of tape and I think it protects. So there we go. So far, today, we've got the custom LED in, we've got the RGB modification on the quote-unquote easy one done. And what time will we have? We've been up for 2:16, so just over 2 hours. I am very, very happy with progress here. Alright. I know I've got another view here that, whatever. I can just go like this. Oh, look. It's a cool little tune. Yeah, we made a lot of progress here. No, I'm really, really happy. I'm really happy. This is good. So much good stuff here. All right. So the question is, what do we do next? I think next is laying out the custom cases and making sure that they complement each other. So that's what it's going to look like right there. Pretty nice looking. I like it. Oh, okay. Yeah, good progress. Man, oh man. I think we can kind of call it there. It's such a good point. It's like a natural stopping point. We got the easy one done. The next one's a lot harder for the RGB modification. And the idea is that it represents the journey that it takes. You know, there's easy ones and there's hard ones. Thank you, Mr. Allen, for coming out. I appreciate it. Have the wonderful evening that you need, sir, and that you deserve. Yeah. Such a good place to call it. Thanks everybody for coming out. Appreciate you all. Much love.